Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Hollenden, and welcome to the Tim Hollenden Show. I am with Trish Giassa today. I'm super excited about this interview with you today, Trish. And before we get started, just a real quick cut to a very short intro video. All right. Welcome again, Trish. Thank you. I know your time's super valuable, and I really appreciate you being on the show. And ladies and gentlemen, viewers, listeners, Trish is a rock star. From immigrant to $40 million a year producer. She's moved around the country several times, literally restarted her real estate business several times. So impressed with you. And I really enjoyed having dinner with you and your husband a few weeks ago in the beautiful Louisville, Kentucky city. So welcome, Trish. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you, Tim, for having me here. I loved your intro. That was really awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I'm excited to do this. So, a little bit about myself. Well, you kind of covered it all. I'm an immigrant, moved here from Italy when I was 10, and never looked back. I love this country. I love the opportunities that we have, and I love that I landed in real estate because the opportunities are even greater. For someone who, isn't an engineer, isn't an inventor, isn't, just to serve and bring value to people and to be able to build a great business, have a lot of fun doing it, always be challenged with new things and new ideas and new challenges. So it's been great. I love this business.
Absolutely. Well, I know you lead with a servant mindset, so that's critical in taking care of clients, I know. But give us a little background. I know you came to the U.S. at 10 years old, if I remember correctly. You'd commented that you had to grow up really fast. Talk about that, and then talk about the different places you've worked, and how did you land at eXp Realty?
Sure. So when we moved to the U.S., none of us spoke English. It was my mom, my dad, and I. And, I learned English a lot faster being 10 years old.
You didn't know it was hard.
It wasn't that hard, actually, learning the language. A lot of other things were harder, but the language was easy. So I learned English a whole lot faster. And so my parents really relied on me to be the interface with everything that we did, landlord and church and school and work and supermarket, whatever, you name it. And then when I was 12, we had my little brother, and, first of all, we didn't have the money to have a nanny or whatever, and they both worked. So I took over after school, and I was a mini mommy for a few hours every single day. It was a huge responsibility, and it was a wonderful thing. I mean, I don't have children, but I know how it feels to care for a child and how to love that relationship, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But it made me grow up really, really fast. And long story short, when I was 25, I was looking for a new career. I'd done a little bit in direct marketing, which very much helped me in real estate. And I interviewed a realtor and a travel agent because I love to travel. And so I realized that travel agents make no money, and potentially realtors can. So I dove right in. I joined a smaller agency, and the broker, who I'm still friends with, Tony Waleski, handed me the phone book. It was that long ago. Handed me the phone book and said, call everybody with an Italian surname. I said, well, so what do I say to them? He says, well, just ask them if they're interested in either buying or selling a home or finding out what their home is worth. And that's how I built my business.
Wow.
From scratch.
The school of hard knocks.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better. And I think sometimes that's valuable.
Yeah.
To just jump in, with enthusiasm and not have all these doubts and questions. Fast forward, did well, was invited back in the days when nobody was recruiting. I was actually invited to join the best office in town. And there was a big jump. It was a Remax. And I went from, not having any business to 100% concept and paying a monthly bill. And it was really nerve-wracking and very exciting. I did very well. And I loved it. It was a great group of people, great model. So I tend to migrate to a model that works for me. I love what I do, but I need to get paid. And I don't want to leave a lot on the table. Right. And so when I found out about the 100% concept, I'm like, yeah, I'll give up the 50-50 any day.
Sure.
So, and I was risking on myself, not anybody else. So I felt like that was a worthwhile risk. A couple of moves, and 18 years later, I started a boutique agency with 9 other agents, 8 actually, 8 other women. And we were all top producers, and we hit the ground running. This was in Chatham, New Jersey. And we just built an amazing small boutique agency. But I found that after 5 years that I didn't really love having 8 other people to have to make decisions with.
Right.
And they were lovely. I mean, great agents, great women, all of that. But it just wasn't a format that worked for me. So I looked around, and I joined Keller Williams. Loved it. I dive right in. Okay, so we can just go with that. So I dove right in, and I loved it. The training, the camaraderie, great experience. I went into MAPS coaching and grew that business to about 40 million. Along that that bit of travel, my husband, Jason, joined my team. He's a retired engineer with 35 patents and a master's degree from Columbia, way overqualified. But he came in and he hit the ground running too, helped me because I had too many leads, too much business for me to handle. And I wanted someone who had the same work ethic, who had the same goals to work with. So he joined about 10 years ago. And then about 5, we moved to Boulder, Colorado again. By the way, that's where I started in real estate long ago with my phone book. And when I got here, I thought, I'll just join Keller Williams again. I love Keller Williams. I had no qualms about that. Mm-hmm. But I noticed that a few friends of mine that I respected and admired, who did great business at Keller Williams, had joined this company called EXP, and I knew nothing about it. So I'm like, I called Sherry Elliott, who later became my sponsor. And I said, Sherry, tell me about EXP. What's the deal? Why are you guys leaving Keller Williams? I mean, what's wrong? And she discussed the model and showed me, what we do here at EXP and how we're all owners, and we share revenue, not profit. And we have so much training and so much support and so much growth. And I jumped right in. And it's been great. That's 5 years ago. So nice. Real quick, when I first joined, I was taking care of my mom. She was 87 at the time, had hip replacement, knee replacement. We eventually moved her to Colorado. That was a big involved project. So actually, I didn't dive quite right in. I joined, and then I dove right into taking care of my mom.
Right, which is way more important than business.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful to the business to have the ability to do that. It's not every job where you could just take a year and a half off. and pick up where you left off. So
now, was Jason with you at this time, still helping you? So was he able to kind of take care of some things in your absence with your mom?
mm-hmm. So he was still producing and still working, but he was just working on real estate and working on getting us set up here, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yep.
And there's this little thing called COVID that hit around that same time too, if I remember your timing correctly.
Oh my God, yes. So, you know, we get my mother all settled up and it's like, okay, we're going to start our business again. I'm the lead generator of the group of the two of us. And I'm all excited. I'm building, you know, the website. I'm starting some, a farm, all that stuff, right? And then COVID hits. And, you know, I'm now 35 years in the business. And I started to really evaluate whether I wanted to spend my Saturday nights negotiating a contract and working, you know, I don't do it halfway. I was going to work all in. And that's a lot of hours. And we had really moved to Colorado to spend more time outdoors, skiing, hiking, that sort of thing.
Right.
And so when COVID hit, it was like, okay, time out. Let's think about this. What do we really want out of our lives? It wasn't just about the business. It was more about life. And we concluded that we didn't want to build another $40 million business. And probably chances are I would have wanted to build it to 60 or more. And
doesn't surprise me with your personality.
Well, you know, I have to kind of watch myself.
Yeah.
Because I can overcommit myself. And then, of course, I have to follow through, and it can get a little hairy. So I had to reevaluate our priorities. And that's when we decided that we were not going to rebuild a new real estate business, that we were going to work with our friends, our family, our neighbors, and our past clients. And let's face it, in Boulder, that group is pretty small.
Right. But
so
leaves plenty of time for skiing and hiking and boating and all those other fun things.
Yep.
Awesome. And you're doing a lot of traveling in your camper, I know, because you drove it across country to see me in Louisville a month ago.
Yep. So yeah, in June we bought a Class B, like a camper van, and have been enjoying that. I have to say, I haven't been playing as much as I would like, but I'm doing great stuff.
Well, you're certainly making an impact on a lot of agent lives. So thank you for that. I love watching people pour into other agents, and there's no better place, in my opinion, than eXp Realty to do that. So let's shift a little bit to that. Let's, you know, I think you told me you restarted your career in, you know, Colorado, New Jersey, Colorado, plus the very first start, you know, that's 4 or 5 times.
Right.
You started with a phone book. And I assume that stuck with you, you know, the whole cold calling. What would you say to the agents? You know, we are in a bit of a correcting market right now. Mm-hmm. I just had an interview yesterday with Al Stasik, and we talked about the pendulum. You know, it swings all the way to the one side, and that's where we are. And then a year ago, we were all the way at the other side. And, you know, it's kind of always in the middle. That's kind of the sweet spot. What would you say to the agent that hasn't been through a 2008 recession or a 2022 correction? Talk about that, if you would.
So first of all, this is when the public really needs us, right? When you can throw a listing or a house, you know, just put a sign in front of it or whisper that it's available. That's easy. And when you have buyers just tripping over themselves to make offers and go above asking, and it's a lot. It's not easy, but it's different. And the results, if you're really dedicated to doing a good job and bringing value, it's completely different, and it's not what we need to do now. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say that that's easier or this is harder. It's different. And when you've been through a bunch of changes in the market, as I have, and I started in a down market, okay? We had HUD homes, we had tons of foreclosures, we had double-digit interest rates. We celebrated when it got to, 9%, under 10.
Right.
It was tough.
Only 7 today.
Right. It was tough. It wasn't easy. And I have to say that this is a simple business, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
So the simplicity is in serving and in putting yourself out there. So for me, cold calling is easy. I can pick up the phone and talk to anybody. In fact, I almost prefer to talk to people I don't know, because if there is rejection, and there's always some rejection, they don't know me. So I don't feel like they're rejecting me. It's just, it is what it is. So that's
who cares?
right. I don't care. It's like next. But I'm a certified mentor at EXP, and I mentor new agents, and we talk about what are you going to do to get your business. And it really is what you're going to do. It's like people say, what's the best CRM? It's the one you're going to use. What's the best lead generation system? The one you're going to use. So if you're good going door knocking, great. That's what you should do. If you hate it, like I do, like I did it once and I'm like, never doing this again. It's not me. I don't like it. And try to put a round peg in a square hole, or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Figure out what's not comfortable, what's doable. This is not about being comfortable. You have to get outside your comfort zone, but you have to be willing to do it. And you have to be willing to do it consistently and persistently. And that's one thing that I think is critical in a successful real estate career is consistency, and just don't give up.
Right. Many agents, I saw it in the last recession in 08, sit on the sidelines and complain about how bad the market is. And, ladies and gentlemen, that's the time to double down on all the free marketing you can possibly do.
There is so much that you could do. Like, let's say you want to work with investors. Oh my God, put together a meetup. Oh, wait, you don't want to put together a meetup? Go to everybody else's meetup. There's like 100 of them for investors. Go meet some people. If you want to be, person to person to meet people, do that. Can you pick up the phone? Okay. And cold call? I know that's a little tougher right now because people don't answer the phone and you can't get their phone numbers. They don't have house phones anymore, but I think Gene Frederick, our
legend,
right? I'm totally speechless every time I think of him because he's so amazing. He wrote a book and it's called 1,001 Ways to Lead Generate. Now, 1,001 ways? You only need 2. Oh, and that brings me to the next point. You don't do 1,000 things or 100 things or a dozen things. You start off with 2 and you become an expert at those. You double down. And if you're going to do open houses, then you're going to do open houses 3 times a week and learn from the best on how to do them and follow through and do it 150%, right? Whatever you do, get good at it. Once you've got that system, pick up another lead generation technique. My lead generation is not all cold calling. It was in the beginning. I got really good at it. And then I moved on to something else, right?
Right.
So that's my advice to new and even existing agents. Just double down. Everybody's talking about getting back to basics. Lead generation is foundational. Follow-up is foundational. Giving value is foundational.
Right. It's relationships. And with the internet, there's no easier way to do that than educate your prospective consumers, buyers, sellers online. Educate. It's what you and I believe in. Just in this case, you're not pouring into agents, you're pouring into buyers and sellers, or prospective buyers and sellers. And be inspiring. It's not hard, and that doesn't cost a nickel. My thing back in the day was expireds and FSBOs. And I got great at that. And 70% of my business with sellers was expireds and FSBOs. There's another one, pick up the phone and call.
Right.
Or go knock on their door if that is your thing. There's lots of ways, but this is a relationship business, and people lose sight of that sometimes. You know, everybody wants the easy recipe for success, and it's, you know, being belly to belly, face to face, if we're not belly to belly, you know, doing a video or just staying top of mind. Because when that pendulum swings the other direction, you know, will it be in the spring? Will it be the end of next year, early the following year? Nobody knows. We don't have that crystal ball, unfortunately, or I'd be betting on whatever it is. You know, you want to be the agent that's top of mind when that market correction comes the other way. The fact of the matter is, 5% of us do 95% of the business already anyway. The strong will survive. The people that aren't strong will get out or exit the market, and we'll be the ones top of mind no matter what. People always have to buy, always have to sell. You know, life happens, life gets in the way. There's always a buyer and a seller out there, and the strong ones will be there to be there for those particular clients. So
100%, Tim.
Let's go back. Anything else you wanted to add on that before I switch topics on you?
I could go on for hours, but I'll
yeah, we could.
Everybody.
We could talk forever on the market correction and what to do for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. That's a whole nother interview. Maybe Jason can join us for that one.
Cool.
Let's talk about, you know, it sounds like you loved the first broker you were with. You loved Remax. You loved Keller Williams. Now you love EXP. What was the draw that brought you to EXP? And how's life been at EXP?
So the draw was ownership. That was the first thing. You know, 18 years at Remax, and it was great, but I didn't own it. You know, the broker owner owned the office, and Dave Liniger owns Remax. Right. And I was just the little agent that, you know, at the bottom of the queue, literally creating all the money, you know, with all the others, of course, but creating the money that fed the whole funnel of people that were benefiting from that. And they were giving us lots of value. So I have no qualms, no complaints. It was great. I love the 100% concept. It was great. But, you know, as time goes on, we have evolution and things change. And one of the things that drove us to start our own company back then was to control our own fate and to build something. But it was a lot harder, and it wasn't as much fun as I would have thought. There was a lot of behind the scenes stuff with compliance, with, you know, hiring and building and all of that. It was a lot of work, and it wasn't easy to scale because we were a major force locally, but we were local, and that was it. We were literally confined geographically. Keller Williams was awesome too. Loved it. But 14 years later, I do get some profit share it's about $2,000 a year, which isn't, I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I get my little deposit and I'm like, okay, this week I could buy coffee, this month I can buy coffee, this month I could buy dinner. And it's nice, but it's not a lot. It's not life-changing. Yeah. But I don't own any of Keller Williams. Gary Keller does. And when I saw the model for EXP, I said, it's about time. I don't know why nobody thought of it before, but it's about time. We work so hard and we do well. There's no complaint about that. We can make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, really fulfill a lot of goals. But, you know, when we close on a transaction, it's like, okay, let's work on our referral because that's all we got. There's nothing more. At EXP, we are able to build a portfolio, and with company stock, that some of it we just get it. It's a gift. Right. When we sell our first home and close our first transaction, when we cap, I mean, there are things that we do as realtors every day, and at EXP we get rewarded with stock.
And it's for doing the same things we did at those former brokerages.
Totally. Like, don't have to do anything different.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to just jump to Sherry and my friend Sherry, who sponsored me. She did so well with that because she iconed, and I'm not going to get into all that, but she was able to build a stock portfolio at EXP that allowed her to retire, to golf pretty much all the time, and to spend time with her granddaughter,
Yeah.
and to live her life instead of negotiating on Saturday night. She is out, having dinner with her husband and her family and her friends.
Right.
So when I realized that could be a possibility for me, I said, sign me up.
Exactly. She is every agent's dream. We're all on this. I'll call it a. Most people that are employees outside of real estate call it paycheck to paycheck. We're on a commission check to commission check kind of situation. Every agent is always waiting for that next closing, and hopefully that holds them over until the next closing. And I call that being on the real estate hamster wheel or the real estate treadmill. And I don't know about you, I've not been to a realtor retirement party.
Never.
But I've been to realtor funerals and way too more than I even care to talk about since COVID. It's been very, very disheartening. But speak to the agents that don't have a retirement plan, that don't have stock. How do you one day get off the real estate treadmill? And Sherry's a lovely lady, by the way. I just love her. She's super successful, still at EXP. Great sponsor and leader. Let's talk about that a little bit further.
Sure. It's hard to save up in this business. There's, for the most part, and I was lucky early on to be taught to always lead with revenue, and I will share that with anybody listening to this, is always lead with revenue. Don't go crazy spending a lot of money for all these shiny objects, unless you're going to be able to turn that around. And only a few of us can do that, right? And I started saving, but it was hard because there was feast or famine. I'd have a bunch of closings and a bunch of money coming in, and all these bills and all these things I wanted to do, like a vacation, and maybe I wanted to buy a home or an investment property, and then I had to pay taxes. Oh God, that was pretty rough, right? The more you make, the more you pay.
Right.
And it's really,
you got to do that before you can save.
Well, not all of us do that, right?
Right.
And I get it. So it's difficult to get ahead unless you have a humongous business. And even then, there are a lot of costs with a big business, and you don't necessarily go home with a whole lot more when all is said is done.
Very true.
So, like saving and being able to say, hey, I'm going to retire, not in 5 years or 10 years, but in 2025 or in 2030, whatever, your goal is, whatever it is. Maybe you want to sell forever, but you don't want to be working 40, 60 plus hours a week, right? Maybe you'd like to work with your friends, family, and just a select group, but you're not going to survive. Jason and I sold our 40 million New Jersey business when we moved to Colorado, and we did really well, much better than anybody I know who has a business and a real estate business and steps away, right? But we couldn't have survived on that. Well, maybe if we have food stamps to add to it. It just wasn't that much money, right? And so we either kept selling or we had to have a different strategy. And when I saw the model at EXP, I said, this is it. This is going to allow us to retire, not just with enough, but with what we want. or as much as we want. And really, just like in real estate sales, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. And so for a little bit, I just thought about it and didn't do a whole lot about it. And very recently, I decided to jump back in. And I realized that I was looking for a mentor, a support group, if you will, to help me do that, and to be part of my tribe. And I met Kelly Fasterling, the wonderful Kelly Fasterling.
Great lady.
I love her. Who introduced me to the Freedom Team, and you're an integral, one of the founders of the Freedom Team, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and you guys just adopted me, and Jason too. It's just okay. So there's stock and money, right? Money's important only from the aspect that it helps us have choices. It helps us support our families and a lifestyle that we can enjoy and all that. But there's more to life than just money. And I, personally, I like to have both. I like to have the money, but I also think having the relationships and the people and the collaboration and the support and the tribe is what really makes me, I kind of got chills over that a little bit thinking about it, because I am so grateful. And I will tell you, this Keller Williams, Remax, even my own company, all great. Nothing like this.
Yeah. I want to dive in on that. And for the benefit of our viewers, you see Freedom Team scrolling across the bottom of the screen there. For those of you who don't know, the Freedom Team is an organization that's almost 3,000 agents strong within eXp Realty. And our mission is to provide financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom to real estate agents. And it's not limited to just the people in our organization. We want to do it for everybody. We have masterminds that we open up to every brand, every agent from every company, every Tuesday, every other Thursday. I mean, just constantly just providing value. I do this to provide value. I don't do it for the money anymore. The money's there. The money's great. Not bragging, not complaining. I love pouring into agents because I had a near-death experience in 2013. We won't go into that today on this show, but I felt empty when I was prepared to possibly cross over. And I set out on a mission to change that. And like you, I came to eXp because it's a phenomenal compensation plan. It's better than the 100% brokerages out there that aren't really 100%. But it provided stock wealth. It provides retirement income every single month. The 22nd of the month, direct deposit hits your account. It's not profit share, it's revenue share. But we're pouring into agents and changing their lives. And you and I were both open-minded enough at one point in our real estate career to at least look and at least listen. I don't call any agent and try to sell them on coming to eXp. Mm-hmm. I'll call an agent and find out about them, learn about them, find out their hot spot, their warm spots, the problems in their business that eXp may or may not be able to solve. And then it's about, it's back to the client again. It's relationship. It's a relationship game with other agents as well. So, and you and I, we're not even in the same organization. I have no financial benefit off of your success. You have no financial benefit off of mine, but we both own this company. Mm-hmm. So that's almost not true when you throw that in there. And that's the difference I tell people about eXp. When I owned a Remax or when I worked for ERA, the training was done by the best agent in the room and their knowledge was local. today the training is done by the best EXP agents in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we give each other everything. Back in the old days, the best trainer in the room at the local office, they didn't teach you everything because they knew they were training their competitors.
Right.
So my experience at EXP is like yours. I mean, the collaboration is second to none in that regard, because I'll help any agent out there, because when I help them win, the company wins and they win, and all of us agent owners win by default. That's true collaboration. That's our Kool-Aid, if you will. Would you agree with that? Anything you want to add to that?
That's 100%. I every time you said something, I agreed with it. So, which is pretty rare that I agree with everything. So, yeah, the collaboration, the training, the best agent in the room was literally just the best agent in the room. And as grateful as I have been for that, yeah, they were training their competitor. And
Right.
so they were not giving us everything. And we're not, Jason and I are not part of your organization, but we're all part of the same company, and we are all owners. And we can buy stock, right? With our commission, there's a employee stock purchase plan, and it's fantastic because you can buy stock at a 10% discount. It's like buying a $10 bill for $9. Yep. That's all great,
it's
right?
Totally optional.
Right. That's great. But again, what you and the Freedom Team and others have done to pour into us and into others to help us grow, and whichever way we want to grow, right?
Yep.
Is amazing. Kelly and I just drove up to Montana to go to a personal mastery workshop, and on the way we stopped and spent a day with the EXP team up there, and brought Jeff Morrell joined us, and I was literally just watching, and the value that they brought to that group was amazing. And they took time out of their day. Jeff flew up, got his own hotel room, paid for his own meals, took care of everything, and presented some absolutely phenomenal stuff that will help that group grow. And I honestly, I never saw that anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Really cool stuff.
Well, as we start to wrap up, I want to be respectful of your time. And again, thank you for being on the show today. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you'd like to say to our viewers, or is there anything that you'd like to dive a little deeper on before we begin to wrap up?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. I really appreciate that. It's great to be able to share different perspectives. And I think my biggest takeaway to share with people is we are looking for agents who are looking for us.
Exactly.
If you're happy someplace, that's awesome, because I was happy someplace.
I was too.
Awesome, right? But, and that is a but, always be open-minded. Always look at what's available to you. It may not be the right thing for you, and that's fine. But at least you can't, I shouldn't say that, because I tend to say things like that, right? You can't say no to something you don't know.
Well, you shouldn't. I agree with you. You shouldn't say can't, but yeah, I know what you're saying. An agent should check us out before saying no to it. And if you say no, that's perfectly fine. But at least you know what you're saying no to. Be educated first. Right.
And I think that's what we try to teach our children, right? Is learn and be informed and make informed decisions. If your son came home and said, "Hey, Dad," and he works at Pepsi, he says, "Coke called me and they want to interview me. They want to tell me about, but I'm really happy with the team at Pepsi and I'm just not going to talk to them." You're going to say, "What?" Go talk to them, find out. You can still stay at Pepsi.
Yep.
Right? But who knows? So just be open-minded, whether it's in business or anything in life. Be open-minded. There's a whole world out there.
There sure is. Awesome. Trish, you've been great today. Thank you so much. Give my best to Jason. I look forward to having you both back real soon, and appreciate all the pouring into other agents that you've done. We're all stronger together, and I just appreciate you so much. And thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you, Tim. And best regards to Angie, too.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have an awesome rest of your week.
You too.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening.